Today it's my great pleasure to talk to Joe Weber. He is the founder and CEO of FlyingWord, and they developed this Treasure Island application, which I want to talk to Joe about. So thanks a lot, Joe, for chatting with me today.
Thanks. I should mention that there are. I'm not the only founder of the company, so I don't want to take full credit for.
Right? How many founders are there? How many?
Well, so we have a number of various different people who are in various founder states, but there's primarily one other full-time founder.
Right. So I take a peek at your sorry, not LinkedIn, LinkedIn profile.
Oh,
You were doing software and high tech system before this. So what made you want to start it? I think you started earlier this year, right?
right.
2010.
Yeah.
So what makes you want to start Flying Words and go into the iPad business? This is full time for you, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well,
Mm-hmm.
well, as full-time as anybody can make anything. The answer to that question is that, first of all, we saw the iPad as a pretty magical device, as
Mm-hmm.
Steve Jobs would like to refer to it as, right?
Yeah.
And we thought that there was an opportunity with the iPad to be able to do a couple of different things. We played around with various different concepts and wanted to really come up with something that would be able to speak to our children. And
Mm-hmm.
both the other founder and myself. So I have three kids, and he's got four. All of our kids between the two of us are 10 and younger, and we wanted to. If we were going to start a company, really wanted something that we could be able to give to our kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they would enjoy, and it would be the love of that. And then also we wanted something where our kids could actually understand what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you read my LinkedIn profile, I used to work on implanted cardiac devices, and it's a fascinating world, and it's really important and lifts the spirit, so to speak, when you know you're saving people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
But my kids didn't
Cardiac
understand it
device.
at all.
The cardiac device, was it heart? Like a heart valve, or like something to do with heart?
So what my team did is, so if you're familiar with cardiac implants,
Mm-hmm.
like a pacemaker,
Right.
there's
Right.
also something called a CRT, which is and an ICD, which in layman's terms basically shock the heart, much like you'd see the paddles of the um, that somebody
Oh.
would use for
Right.
to save somebody's life in an
Mm-hmm.
ER. So what these bigger devices do is also regulate the heart in a variety of different forms. And
Okay.
they've been out for a while, and Boston Scientific is one of the leaders in that
Mm-hmm.
space. What my team did was we built a remote management capability.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have one of those implants,
Mm-hmm.
then you're now able to put a little device on your bedside, which looks a little bit like an answering machine. And at night, it interrogates the implant and downloads all the information about that
Oh.
device. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's uploaded to over the internet to our servers, where it's analyzed. And if there's something going on with your heart or
Mm-hmm.
uh, going on with the device, then it will automatically start informing your physician once all the processing has gone on.
Mm-hmm.
So, without being, giving too much more detail on it, that was the type of work that my team did at Boston
Mm-hmm.
Scientific.
Right. Well, that's really cool. But I guess what you're saying is those may be really like much higher tech for your kids to appreciate, and this Treasure Island app is going to be a
Right.
lot more not I don't know approachable is the right word, but they can actually see it and they can see, oh, that is doing really this really cool stuff. So
Yes.
let
Yeah.
me go use it as a segue to the application itself. So were you developing some of the software for Treasure Island, or you have a team of programmers that does that for you, but you are also able to look at the code or help debug the system if needed?
Well, we have a team of people that's
Mm,
pretty much geographically located around the world,
mm,
who've worked on various different elements of Treasure Island. So
mm,
Glenn Goa, who did the narration, is over in Norway,
mm,
and we had various different people working on imaging effects that were
mm,
in India and the United Arab Emirates.
mm,
We had people from a variety of different people around the United States who worked on different elements of the application. So it's pretty geographically dispersed.
Okay, so it's not just around where you are. All right.
No,
So let's talk about the application itself. I want to mention a few great things. And Glenn, your narrator, did a tremendous job. I really love the narration and the music and the sound effects around the book. It really makes the Treasure Island comes alive for me. And I'm one of those that, hey, if I just put it on and listen to it, and why not? I think I got a great kick out of it. And I like. I think we previously talked about. Well, actually, let me ask you. So it's not just me talking. So the talk a little bit about the artwork in the applications. So there
yeah.
are, I guess, two types, right? One you created, one like original.
Yeah, well, actually, so there's the artwork for Treasure Island has a lot of historical significance to it. What
Mm,
we were able to do is work with the University of Minnesota, where they have a what's known as the Children's Literature Library, or archives rather. And in the archives, they have a lot of historic books, really oriented towards children. And amongst that collection, they have all of these copies of Treasure Island from the turn of the century, around 1900. And what we were able to do is create brand new, high quality images of four different artists who had drawn or painted Treasure Island
mm,
around that time. We ended up going with two artists in particular, N.C. Wythe and Walter Paget. N.C. Wythe did a series of color images, and Walter Paget did the line drawings. There were two other artists that we ended up deciding that it was inconsistent. If you had two different types of color
mm,
palettes and things like that, it just didn't feel quite like a consistent look. But we wanted to be able to do is take these historic documents and existing artwork and move it forward into an experience that is both modern and retrospective. And I think that's what we tried to do. And then I think the other thing that you're referring to, apologize for the phones ringing here.
okay.
Um, the other thing that we were able to do is um,
The physics engine, the object
yes. So the
stuff
physics.
that you can
So
move.
so we have another set of images that um, um, are completely rendered within the physics engine. And the so all those 3D models, the color palettes were designed specifically to try to fit with the images of NC Wythe, and so that you don't have this completely jarring experience as you switch from the color from the pop up images into the three-dimensional images, and hopefully you saw that as well.
Mm, right. By three-dimensional images, you mean the new one that you created, right? And the other are the illustrations,
Right. Yes.
right?
Yes. So in some cases where there wasn't an image that between either Paget or NC White that really fit with the scene in Treasure
Mm-hmm.
Island, we created this three-dimensional experience that you can have, and then in those, I don't know if you noticed, you can drag things around
Right.
and really go into the physics engine element of it a little
Right,
bit more.
right, right. And this leads to my next question. In one of the physics engine, there's a breakfast table with
Yes.
photo and with a swirl and a plate and an egg where the readers can play with, right? So one thing that I find about that particular scene is the once I tip the things, I can't easily move the objects. Like it's like, did you when you? I guess you guys must have got your kids to test them, right? Do
Yeah.
your kids like find the same thing? Like I as an adult, like and I'm trying hard to move that egg once I flipped it and whatnot. I can't. Not easily. It's impossible, but I can't. Yeah.
Well, so there probably are things that we can do to improve that. I don't.
Mm,
I'm trying to recall. Um, the egg in particular.
Mm-hmm.
If you put it, so if you put some of those objects on edge,
Mm-hmm.
then it becomes a little bit harder for the physics engine to see them. But if the egg is laying flat, it should be easy to move. But if it's not, then that may be something that we can look into.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, I guess the reason I'm bringing this up is maybe hopefully you guys can solve it, like not solve it, but in one of the updates,
right?
change it. I mean, it's yeah, yeah, it's one of those things, right? When it's the
Yeah.
first version, I mean, I'm sure
Right.
that there are things can be worked on, and yeah, I mean, on the same
The
line.
one, the one that people don't always get, that I
Mm,
thought you were going to bring up, is that if you look in chapter 17,
uh,
scene where you can shoot the cannon at
yeah, yeah.
and people don't always get the fact that if you drag up and down on there, you can change the angle of the cannon. So that's why I thought
Oh,
you
yeah, 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 we figured that out. Yeah, I think you can shoot away from it too, right? If you want to. Yeah,
yes, if
like
you
up
want
and
to.
down to shoot on the boat, and that's what I call the indestructible boat. You can never really sink it. That's fun.
Well, if you land right, yeah, it'll never. We had it sink, and then we didn't. We tried not to do that. But if you land right on the boat, if you end up
Yeah.
getting the cannon to land right on the boat does sort of blow apart.
Right, right. Yeah, broke out the paddle and flies away, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I guess since we brought that up, when the cannon is firing, I find that the narration is a little bit difficult to listen to, especially when you're firing a lot and making
Oh,
it
yeah.
loud. It's like you
With
can't
all the
win.
explosions going off, it's
Right,
hard to
right,
hear.
yeah, you can't win
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, the kids is playing with that. Hey, well, yeah, what do you expect? You're not gonna hear the narration. Yeah, yeah. But going back to the other thing is the Apple Card. The Apple Card. Have you guys thought about actually making the Apple Baker and the Apple actually movable? Like once we topple the Apple Card with all the apples in it, the apple barrels, the we can move the apples. We can use the
Sure.
barrel to hit on the
That's
apple.
a good idea. We could do that.
Mm,
The apples I don't think are draggable
yeah,
once you tip them over, but
right.
but it's a good idea. We could maybe make them. We could maybe make those apples draggable, and you could throw them around the screen too.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. See, right now I think there are tons of apples, small one, but we can't really do that. I don't know. I guess when your kids play with it, what would their first response in that age bracket, right? To me, as an adult, when I play with an iPad app, if things can be moved, I want to move the other things too. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what you'll find with Treasure Island is what we try to do is take a slightly understated view of interaction. We
Mm,
wanted people to really get into the story and not
mm,
necessarily get into the interactions.
mm,
So we accomplished that, I think, by bringing somebody like Glenn Goa in, who was able to do a fantastic. I appreciate your acknowledgement. I think he did a fantastic job with the narration, and Andrew did a wonderful job with the music
mm.
that goes along with the book.
Yeah.
And with the interactions, what we wanted to do is really be able to make it a very readable book.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of the interactions we toned them down so that they weren't the kind of thing. So when kids were listening to the book, what we found, not only with our kids but some other kids that we tested with, is if we made things too interactive, then they tended to focus on the interaction instead of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to create a situation where it was really about the story.
Right.
But the apples, I mean, there's really no reason why we couldn't make the apples movable.
Yeah, but I guess another way of looking at it just occurred to me because this is a classic, right? And this is a full
Yeah.
length, and this is the original text, right? So I guess
Right.
for the kids especially, what they can do or may end up doing is the first few time around they'll be playing with those and trying to find the coolness. But then as they grow older, they can actually appreciate the book more and kind of read and enjoy the book more
Right.
over the years.